Morning sunlight bathes the rugged hills of the Mojave Desert, as well as a small, lonely figure warming up after a chilly night. In close proximity to Rock Springs is a well, named Government Holes, that was dug back in 1859. The old Land and Cattle Company water trough still provides some dubious quality water for desert denizens, as it has done for many years. A windmill and tank sit beneath the shade of a large cottonwood. High above, a powerful red-tailed hawk gets mercilessly harassed by a cranky kingbird, who's claimed the tree as his own. The chance of a drink attracts a flock of migratory cedar waxwings, settling into the lofty branches for a well-earned respite, only to be flushed out when the hawk returns to its nest. Keeping out of all the disputes are western fence lizards, quite likely California's most commonly seen reptile.
More evidence of the former cattle industry can be seen a ways up the road. Cattle ranching started back in the late 1880s and went through to the 1990s, when national parks acquired the land and operations ceased. A large outcrop of granite boulders roadside appear worthy of exploration. Gaps beneath the huge rocks create cool, shady retreats, and I'm curious to see if there's any evidence of Indian occupation. Instead, me and Cricket finds something else. We have made an awesome discovery. That thing there, by my theory, is a Mojave green rattlesnake, which apparently is quite a toxic specimen. And this guy is quite big. This magnificent creature has an impressive set of rattles, at least 9, with a stumpy tip at the top. And as Summers just pointed out, there's another one curled up under the bush right there. Resources suggest that it is around breeding season, which may explain the presence of our big friend waiting patiently on the fringes of this scrubby bush.
For a while, Cedar Canyon and Mojave Road become one. As the traveler descends towards the Kelso Wash, a magnificent panorama appears. The savage-looking Providence Mountains loom over the Kelso Dunes, where sand has piled up over 500 feet high. Among the desert vegetation are Joshua trees, yucca, and cacti. Ahead, the Mojave Road continues west on the outer edge of the swollen Sema Dome. At the base of the valley, Cedar Canyon Road meets the Sema-Kelso Road, one of several civilized and sometimes busy highways that needs to be crossed. Once on the other side, we're back on a simple track that starts to get a little bouncy.
We've just crossed the sealed road and we're navigating over the Kelso Wash, which accounts for all these whoop-de-doos from the cross-flow of water as it comes off the Sema Dome. This will be a 20-mile or so remote stretch of sandy tracks and whoop-de-doos. A lot of fun. The view from Marl Springs is impressive. Marl Springs was considered to be one of the most important water points along the Mojave, especially for those either coming from or heading west. It's at least 30 miles onto the next reliable spring into hotter, drier, and lower elevations. Leaving Marl Springs is a short climb to the highest point along the Mojave Road with great views out over the countryside, with only a massive power line betraying the presence of mankind.
This is about the halfway point of the Mojave Road, and like most good trails, they've got a sign-in book. So I'm gonna sign us in, let people know that we've been here. That's nice. There's a few supplies just in case you forgot anything, like for your gas relief, stubby holder, beef jerky. Oh, there's actually some in there. Or toilet paper.
After some time spent driving, it can be nice to stretch the shanks. Only a short walk into the bush yields a very strange discovery.
A lot of frogs.
It's unclear how long this tiny army of creepy little amphibians have been out here, growing in numbers. In and around the area are other clusters of weirdness, including a toy monument to Jeeps. And the creepiest of all is a small convulsing princess. At this point, the expanse of Willow Wash runs parallel with the Cal-Baker Road. To our right is a cluster of cinder domes, or extinct volcanoes. Emerging from them is a large lava field ending in a line of cliffs, cut that way by water flowing in the wash. Alongside these cliffs are promising camping opportunities not to be missed by us. We set up on the western side of a small tree, knowing it will shield Wilms from the morning sun, to enjoy her highly valued sleep-ins.
Amongst the cracks and crevices of the cliff, we see more strange nests of sticks and stuff. Perhaps tonight we may attempt to unlock the mystery of who is responsible for their construction. The vastness of this river of sand holds some more tiny treasures. The wispy red creek or downy buckwheat in a field of woolly daisies. The spiky pod of this chia will soon give way to numerous small blue flowers. There's desert dandelion, desert senna, and golden primrose, not to mention a very small spider. By the day's end, we're treated to a spectacular display as the sun sinks behind the mountains to the west, setting the sky ablaze with color. As the light fades, we're compensated by a huge moonrise in the east.
Oh, we have run into a small catastrophe out here on the Mojave Road. This is our last evening with meat. Completely unacceptable. Hey, Wilms?
Yeah, that's tragic.
Wilms says it's unacceptable. We've found a sneaky route, an escape route into Baker. We're going to sneak in there and restock some supplies and carry on with our adventure. Unacceptable.
Beneath the gloomy shadow of darkness, we uncover the identity of our stick nest building friends. A handsome little rodent called a pack rat that scurries along the nooks and crannies of these jagged rocks.
Next morning we turn north onto the highway to Baker. Our first task is to restock our provisions with the fearsome cricket on car guard duty. Then it's over to the local fuel station to fill up on gas and back out into the wilds. We find ourselves on a long straight trail that travels for miles gently downhill towards a large shiny lake-like feature on the horizon.
We're just approaching Soda Lake. Now, this can be pretty treacherous just about any time and totally impassable after it's rained. It doesn't look too wet from here, but still, we're going to be driving over a very thin crust of minerals, and that means the possibility of getting stuck. The shoreline of Soda Lake can be a little rough, with some steep holes that need to be carefully negotiated. There's an illusion of flatness over this vast landscape of mineral-encrusted mud, but concealed throughout are deep ruts and pits capable of doing horrible things to a speeding vehicle. Free rein upon the lake beyond the main trail is not only prohibited, but treacherous. A cautious approach is advised, and if there's any indication of wetness, then aborting the crossing and detouring through Baker is recommended. Things go smoothly for us, and towards the far side of the lake we encounter a huge pile of rocks. So we've arrived at mile 100.9 on the Mojave Road, and we're standing on the Traveler's Monument. So I think you can probably make a guess what this is all about, but also there's a plaque, and it's a long-standing tradition not to reveal what is on that plaque. So I'd say that we are not going to break that tradition. You should come out and see for yourself. Come on, Cricket. All right. Well, we're depositing ours, one for Cricket and one for me.
This is my rock. Wilms has selected me a very nice one. And I'm going to put mine down the bottom because I believe foundations are very important.
Across the dry lake is what must be the original Soda Springs that later became a health resort named Zizix, shut down in the 1960s. It's now apparently used as a desert study center.
That was a successful crossing of Soda Lake. Now, although we've had a few challenges up to date on the Mojave Road, I think all in all we've had a lot of luck on the conditions. It hadn't been too hot, and of course there hasn't been any rain. So I'm pretty happy about that. Leaving Soda Lake, the country ahead undergoes some dramatic changes as we begin a rough and rocky descent. Down from the rocks, we now find ourselves in white sand dunes with a new range of desert plants, such as the desert lily, sand verbena, and the prickly poppies, with a fierce-looking desert blister beetle on the flower. This sandy area is a floodplain for the Mojave River that will soon be before us.
The hills show signs of former mining operations, and in the background, Cave Mountain looms ominously over it all. Passing under the rail bridge for the Union Pacific Railroad is our unofficial gateway into the Mojave River and the Afton Canyon. Small trickling streams of water begin to flow as the canyon walls close in around us. The sides of the canyon appear as relatively soft, crumbly dried mud sculpted by water runoff. It's a spectacular drive upstream following the course of this desert river. A little side cut along the way makes for an agreeable campsite, with views of the lengthy cargo trains going this way and that, following the tracks carved into the base of the cliffs. Small white-capped sparrows come to drink in the late afternoon, but otherwise we see not another soul, as darkness attempts to lay claim to the land. These efforts are soon thwarted by the late rising of a large moon.
The following day, more significant pools of water need to be negotiated as we cross beneath another rail bridge. A little way past this point, we wander off for a short jaunt into the wilds to explore some shallow caves situated in a horseshoe bend along the river. A not so deep stream stands between us and our destination and needs to be crossed, though depth can be a subjective term depending on one's stature. For cricket, the crossing is more of a wade, bordering on a swim.
So right now we're in the caves, which are called that for pretty obvious reasons. This was an important stopping point for both the wagon trains and for Indian traders back in the day. Nearby, a very small rabbit has fallen afoul of a gopher snake, a creature classified as a colubrid, which are rear-fanged snakes that in many cases are not to be feared. This character is non-venomous and kills with constriction, but the job is not yet done with still a few squeaks escaping its exhausted victim. With little resistance being offered up, it's now time to make a meal of his catch. And before you know it, those little bunny feet slide down the throat of a very satisfied snake.
Under normal conditions, the most substantial water crossing along the trail is here, and I choose to walk through first, as caution is often the better part of valour. Cricket observes proceedings from inside the car. Having guesstimated that we have the clearance, the truck plunges into the water, and we hope for the best. The disco makes it through without blowing up, which is a really good thing, and we continue on our way.
Once out of Afton Canyon, the final leg of this journey is quite anticlimactic, and most travelers abort this final stage. Highway 15 is clearly visible, and from here progress is impeded by a confusing maze of small roads. We eventually navigate our way around, and it's a short drive down a sandy track to the monument from Camp Cady, the official end of this adventure.
There is no doubt, of all our adventures, this desert track ranks highly. Packed into 140 miles, this historic trail has provided driving challenges, stunning scenery that constantly changes, sometimes dramatically, carpets of wildflowers, exciting wildlife, glimpses of the trail's history, ancient human artworks, and numerous fantastic camping opportunities, with not another soul in sight. This remarkable desert would be well worth multiple return visits, with so much more yet to be discovered. A former Indian trade trail is now a historic 4x4 adventure in the deserts of Southern California, called the Mojave Road.